This virtual day trip takes us to the seaside, bringing back memories of sandcastles, ice cream and paddling in the sea. So, whereabouts are we, Luna?
In beautiful Felpham, Annalees, which is nestled between Bognor Regis and Middleton-on-Sea, with views of the South Downs on one side, a beach full of pebbles and an expanse of sea on the other.
We've driven here and parked in one of the car parks close to the beach.
But regular buses can also drop you close to the promenade.
But before you grab your coat and head out the door, let's find out some of the things you can do when you visit. Welcome to your virtual day trip. Luna and I are in Felpham, a beautiful West Sussex seaside town.
That's right, Annalise, and we're taking you with us as we explore.
So get comfy and join us on our adventure.
We'll be visiting the former home of William Blake and we'll discover a walking trail that he inspired.
We'll be chatting to a local art group and meeting a lovely yoga teacher.
And we'll learn more about the shoreline.
There's loads to pack in, so let's get started.
We're starting our visit on the promenade, filling our lungs with sea air and letting the breeze wake up our senses.
If you look left out to sea, you might be able to glimpse the offshore wind farm with its turbines generating green electricity, saving hundreds of thousands of CO2 emissions every year.
Back here on dry land, the promenade hosts many essential services to help make your seaside visit a success, such as places to eat, benches to rest, and, most importantly, public toilets.
We're going to leave the beach for a while and head over to Felpham Memorial Hall to meet Trisha and members of her art group.
I'm Trisha Johnson. I have been teaching art for over 20 years now. So people can just come in and just see what we're doing. And it's on Monday mornings, 10 till 12, or they can go onto my website and have a look and book through there. But people are welcome to come and have a look around and have a chat. Everyone's really nice, super friendly, and we've got experienced people, brand new people. New people started this term, a real mixture of different levels, and also doing different materials, different mediums. So some people just into drawing, some people are into acrylics and watercolour. So it's a really nice mix.
It's so inspiring to see what everyone is working on. Let's meet some of the group.
Hello, my name's Valerie. I live in Felpham and I live on my own. So finding somewhere like this art class very near home to come to mix with other people and to do something which many years ago I had done some art before, but not very much. So it was a lovely thing to do. It wasn't too big a group and I got to know people very quickly. I love living by the sea. And the second term I did, our project was landscape, but mine very quickly turned into seascape. So that was great fun. I enjoyed that immensely. Yes, it's a really good thing to do. It's a good facility for the village to have a hall like this. And although I come from Felpham, and I think a couple of others do, people come from all around because it's such an enjoyable group to come to.
My name's Andy, and I found that actually doing art, rather than what I did before was often read about it or try to study it, but actually doing it teaches you so much more. Yet it all begins with drawing, some say, and I found that probably is so. Drawing leads to painting, painting leads to even pop art, contemporary art, portraiture, the whole question of modern art. As originally a person from a city, a Londoner, I've found coming to live by the sea gives a different set of moods and reflections. And it being the Felpham, Bognor Regis type area, William Blake once remarked that this area he found to be like a gateway for angels. So an inspiring place for mood and inspiration.
Having a regular group to come to is a great way to socialise and learn new skills. Everyone's super friendly.
Last term we did quite an abstract project which was really interesting, and lots of students hadn't done that sort of thing. but it was kind of right on the borders of, oh, this is getting a bit complicated, a bit arty. So a couple of students said, oh, I'd really like to just do some basics, like going back to some basic techniques. So I thought, we'll just choose a really simple project of flowers, and then you can make it as complicated or as easy as you want it to be. So we've done sketching, we did a bit of shading, then we're going to do pastels, some watercolour, and just build up then. And people can dip in and out. They can say, oh, I still like the pencil work, I'm just going to stick with that, or, oh, I'll do the next thing.
I love that there is so much flexibility in what you can create during the sessions, using the techniques that Trisha shares with the group. It must help motivate you to do more too.
So I'm Richard, and I've been coming to these art classes for a very long time. I mean, the reason I come to these classes really is that it's a discipline, in that I always say I'm going to do some painting and I don't. And you know, it's such a palaver to get stuff out all over the kitchen table and, you know, clean it all up, and all the rest of the world is going on around you, sort of stuff. But here everybody's doing it. You can focus on it because everybody else is focusing on their painting or drawing or whatever it is they're doing. So, and you can get caught up in it and just forget the world, if you like, and just get on with your art.
My name's Diane, and I come along because I want to do some art. I've done art in the past, but haven't done any for a few years, so it's a way of setting aside time to actually focus on it. And when I'm here, I find that all the other thoughts disappear, and I'm just lost in what I'm actually doing at the time, which is wonderful. I really, really enjoy it.
It's great to hear what a positive impact the art group has on the members. But what is it that inspires Trisha and her creativity?
For my own personal practice, I might say I'm a mixed media artist, so I do all sorts. I do watercolours, I do pastels, pencils, all sorts of different things. And I also do a lot of printmaking, so being by the seaside is lovely. Sometimes you can be down on the seafront and the tide's out and it's such an expanse and so much sky, everything's all open. And then other days, you know, feels like you're sort of really tight in with all the dark clouds and that. It's really inspiring to be in that change all the time and see it happening, the seasons changing around you as well. So I'm trying to capture the sky and the space around me and the sea. So I'm painting water first onto the paper, so this is a clear wash down, and then I'm dropping colour into it, and this is called a wet on wet technique, and the colour spreads through this water across the page and you get really interesting effects. Then I can put some darker colours into it and really see the water moving around on the surface, and it really captures that sense of the sky and the clouds and the sea moving.
Thanks Trisha and the lovely Felpham art group. I'm inspired to get my sketchbook out.
The amazing thing about being by the sea is how different it can look depending on the weather. No wonder this place is so inspiring to artists.
You're right, and we're about to meet another artist, Charlie, but her other job is protecting the beach. Let's find out what her role involves.
Hi, I'm Charlie Thwaites. I'm the foreshore officer here for Arran District Council, and I look after the beaches from Pebble to Ferring. So first thing in the morning I get up nice and early and I patrol the beaches. I'm looking for anything that could cause harm to anybody, so maybe pollution, oil, various things washed up on the beach. Mostly we get groins, fishing nets, that kind of thing, but I'm keeping an eye out for plastics or anything harmful to other people and their pets on the beach. So we look after everybody on the beach. We're here to provide information and to help them be safe and enjoy a really good fun-filled day. When out on patrol, we check all our life buoys are in place. So in different areas we have life rings and throw bags. It depends on your position with the sea, whether you're throwing long ways or down, whether you have a throw bag or a life ring. But we do check and make sure they're all in position each morning, so that whenever somebody needs a rescue, they're directly there to help. So we have really lovely mixed communities of people. A lot of people may not be fully confident with their fitness, but also come here to exercise and regain mobility. So we have people who use our promenade with our interdisposed benches to exercise and measure their exercise and their progress by walking from bench to bench, sitting, relaxing, having a little moment, and then gaining strength and moving on a bit more. And gradually over time we will get to know people and see them progress and gradually get better or just gain more fitness. And part of that, they start to make friends with other people doing the same thing. So we have whole communities of people just exercising along the beach at their own speed. It doesn't have to be racing, although we do have runners that come and race every week. But we have people of all abilities and ages. So it might be toddlers learning to walk for the first time, but people who've had hip replacements or accidents that are relearning to walk. We monitor the wildlife within our patrols, and it can be weather conditions or the time of year that will cause different changes within the wildlife. So it may be, as last year when we had a sudden rise in temperature and hot conditions, that a lot of the sea life on the seabed died just because it couldn't cope with the heat. So I then monitored the conditions and contacted other groups to see if there was something more big scale pollutant or something that may have caused a problem. But in this case it wasn't. It was just the hot weather was just too much for the sea life to cope with. But as the season moved on, things regained a new balance, and we had new sea life turning up on the beach. During January and February, it's the mating season of a lot of the seals, dolphins, porpoises, that kind of thing, and they can get quite aggressive towards each other. It's also the time when seals are shedding their winter coat, so they need to come in and sunbathe and regain their energy. They get quite tired after or whilst they're losing their coat, so they come up and sunbathe on the beaches here. A lot of people can get upset and feel that they are in trouble, so we do a lot of talking to the public whilst keeping them away from our seals who are happily sunbathing. But actually they are just regaining their energy after losing their main coat. Sadly, sometimes find dead seals, porpoises and dolphins. We are lucky enough to have a population of bottlenose dolphins and harbour porpoises in this area. If I do find a dead animal, I measure them, take photographs in situ, and then I wrap them up, put them in my buggy here, and they get sent to London Zoo, where they go through a post-mortem to look into the effects mankind is having on the wildlife, what may be causing them to die, how old they are, what they've been eating, all of that information, so that we can build a bigger picture of what's going on, to hopefully develop better ways to live together in a better harmony, so that all our wildlife prospers in this area. I love the sea. it's my life, in it, on it, by it. And when the winter comes and things get a little bit quieter, I do get some time to do my own artwork. So I do wood engraving and lino cuts, but all my images are of our sea life and beaches. Even our wind farms appear on my horizons in my pictures, and all our boat life. And yeah, so I build up a store of images and experiences from the sea throughout my year, and they're stored for my quiet moments at home to engrave away. Over the winter, I patrol the beaches and really prepare for the busy summer season when more people are using the beach. But from Easter all the way through to September, I'm joined by a fantastic crew of beach patrol officers who are based in both Bognor and Littlehampton. They use the buggies, the same as myself. They're all fully first aid trained and can use the defibs to perform search and rescue and assist people along all the beaches. But we have fun. There's a lot of fun, particularly here at Bognor. We get a lot of different groups come via Butlin, so we may have clown weekends or Punch and Judy on the beach, all those sort of things. But yeah, so we get into having adventures on the beach with everybody else. So whatever events people want to have on the beach, we end up as part of that, which is wonderful. But we all are there to support everybody and make sure that they're safe throughout their visit. And then as we get to September, it quietens down again and they go off to their other little lives, and I'm back on my own looking after the beaches.
It was great to hear from Charlie. I didn't realise how much her job involved.
And Charlie is really creative too. You can see why Felpham is an artist's paradise.
Absolutely, Luna. And the beach has definitely been the inspiration for our craft activity today.
Tell me more.
Well, we're going to think about all the things we love about the beach and draw or paint a picture onto a pebble.
You didn't take that pebble from Felpham Beach, did you? I don't want the police after us.
No, this is from the garden centre, where you can buy bags of pebbles to use in your garden.
Brilliant idea. Let's get started. You don't need too many things for this craft, and you can improvise if you don't have everything. But ideally, you will have a pebble, some paint, acrylic is good, along with a paintbrush, coloured pens, permanent markers are best, and if you have it, some varnish. Step 1. Use your brush to paint a smooth layer on top of the pebble where your picture will go. A light colour tends to work best so that your drawing will stand out. Let that dry, shouldn't take too long. Step 2. Now, what a draw! There are many seaside inspirations, but I love the beach huts at Felpham. You might want to try a few ideas on a sheet of paper first. Once you're happy with your design, use your coloured pens to decorate your pebble. Step 3. To protect your beautiful pebble artwork, you can paint a thin layer of varnish over the top or use some PVA glue that will dry clear. So, over to you. It's time to have a go and get creative.
What a really nice way to capture what we love about the seaside. I'm going to use mine as a paperweight, or perhaps give it to a friend.
I'm right here, hand it over. It's beautiful. Now, whilst we've been busy drawing, you may have noticed that the sun has come out, so we can warm up a bit as we walk away from the beach to meet Peter at Blake's cottage.
Welcome to William Blake's cottage in Felpham, where he lived between 1800 and 1803. I am one of the trustees that bought the cottage in 2015 with the intention of saving it and keeping it for the nation. The importance of William Blake to the English literary and possibly revolutionary history is always completely underestimated. He's one of these geniuses who, at the time he was writing, was probably 100 years ahead of his time. And I'm sure that just about everybody who's looking at this will know a poem called Tiger, Tiger. The other thing that they will almost certainly know, but would not realize that it was actually inspired by the time he lived here, is the hymn we call Jerusalem. The view is that Jerusalem was inspired by the time when he was living here between 1800 and 1803. He and his patron would ride from here across countryside to a little village not far from here, which involved them riding across countryside in the foothills of the South Downs. This is the only time that Blake spent any time outside London. Obviously he knew the hills of London, he'd walked around Hampstead, etc. But the 3 years he spent here were totally different. And if you look at some of the letters he wrote back to his friends in London at that period, for the first 2 years at least, he thought he was living in a sort of paradise. His stay here is regarded as one of the periods when he was at his most prolific. Even in the late 1800s, followers were saying this guy is still way ahead of his time. The cottage as you see it now is an amalgam of buildings from early 1700s up until the early 1900s. The early 1700 bits are what Blake would have known. At the end of the building that Blake knew, they created in probably 1880s, 1890s what we call the Victorian Annex, which is a one up, one down additional. And then in the 1970s, the lovely lady who used to live here had an extension built which was contemporary and obviously much better for somebody to live in. In discussion with the planning authorities, we have reached a tentative agreement, not yet formalised, but we hope it will be, that the 1970s extension can actually be removed. The Victorian extension will stay, and in a way that's not such a bad thing, because in fact it gives us additional working space to make the building usable. Intention is to create within the original building, which is the 2 up, 2 down you can probably see, as close to being as it was when Blake was living and working here as we can. The downstairs left-hand room is where he would have had his printing press, which is, as you probably know, solely his own invention. He didn't make his lithographs and things the way that everybody else did. He invented his own way of doing it. And that would have been in that room. The room to the right on the ground floor would have been the living room. And then upstairs you have 2 bedrooms. The one on the left in the picture is where they would have been, and the spare bedroom where visitors and guests could stay. When Blake came here at the request of a patron, the cottage would have been, as I said, just the two bits. And between here and the sea, there was nothing, just marshland. This was the first time that Blake had actually seen the sea. And you can see in some of his letters that are available, where he's writing back to London, expatiating about how lovely it is to be able to go and walk into the sea from here. One of the things when we bought the cottage, we insisted amongst ourselves, was that the cottage is part of Felpham, Felpham's history, and as far as we're concerned, it belongs to Felpham. Our intention is that once we have achieved the restoration, etc., then the cottage and the management of the trust will pass to Felpham. Unfortunately, at the moment, the state of the cottage means that we cannot open it to the public. What we are planning to do, starting this summer, is to open the garden. Before we do that, we obviously have to make certain changes within the garden to make certain it is safe for the public. But the intention is to hold, probably at weekends, open days. We'd obviously like to get people like poets, etc., to come and read some of their works with, obviously, with a Blakean touch, if possible. But even if it's only just tiger, that would be perfect as well. Right, as you can see, the cottage, it is on the at-risk register, principally because, as you can see, the roof is beginning to collapse. It is stable. We have actually got proper supports inside, so it's not going to fall off, but it needs urgently to be repaired. That involves virtually taking the whole roof off, saving as much of the rafters and the wood as we can, because it is grade 2 star listed, and then recreating the thatch. It has been heavily over thatched over the years, which is what has caused it to collapse. When that is done, then we can start looking at what we're going to do inside, and to take out all of the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s work that's been done there, and try and bring it back within the rules of house building as much as we can to the state it would have been when Blake was living here.
Thanks, Peter. Absolutely fascinating.
And to continue our Blake theme, we're going to meet Rachel.
Well, my name's Rachel Searle. I lived in Felpham for over 20 years, and when I was here I got to hear about William Blake living here, and I was like, oh, that's exciting, you know, I'd heard the hymn Jerusalem, and so we created a map actually at the time, sort of like a little leaflet explaining a little bit about William Blake, some of the things that he'd said and people he'd met in Felpham, and created a trail. And then I started working at the Felpham Community College, and the students there said that they really like their English students, and they'd really like to kind of have an actual physical trail, you know, with signposts and virtual links that, you know, people could look at. So yeah, so that's kind of where the idea came from them for this like physical trail, and we put in an application to the National Lottery, who loved the idea as well, and worked with the local production company to have little films for each sign, and a graphic artist, Chris Bird, to design the signs, working with the students. So first one's at outside Hotham Park. It then takes you through Bognor Regis, across the river, some of the routes that Blake would probably have walked around. So the second sign is near the river. And then you cross over the river, you walk along past a church in the village, which he would have been able to visit. And inside the church is now a window dedicated to William Blake, created around the millennium. So that's quite modern, obviously. And then the next one is outside William Haley's house, or the site of it, which is just down this road here. The road is the same layout as when Blake lived here, so it's, you know, you do get a sense of actually you are walking in steps that Blake definitely would have walked along. And he wrote a poem about the ladder of angels descends through the air, and it sort of lands on the turret, which was William Haley's house, and then talks about weaving down the road. So it's kind of the same road you're actually walking along to this bit, to his house, his cottage. So this is where the fourth sign is. And then it walks along to the seafront, and along the seafront, and then rejoins the trail, kind of like back at Hotham Park. So it's a circular route, and there's 6 signs in all, and each sign has got a little film where one of the students is reciting one of Blake's poems, which you can click onto, and it's filmed at the site. So if you can't actually get here, you can actually have a look at the site through those individual clips. And the website for the trail is blaketrail.org.uk, and you can just look at the trail.
Thanks, Rachel. How brilliant to have a Blake trail.
Absolutely. But before we follow it, let's go and meet Jax in the park.
Hello, I'm Jax and I'm from Happy Yogis. and today I'm coming to you from the gardens behind Blake's Cottage in Felpham. I deliver yoga sessions at the Bognor Regis Youth and Community Centre on West Lotes Lane and also at the Laburnum Centre on Lion Street here in Bognor Regis. For me, yoga and meditation are intrinsically linked, and when I deliver my classes they're usually a quarter meditation and then 3/4 yoga. But when we do the yoga, we link together our minds and our bodies and our breath and our movement, so it becomes a moving meditation. There's a popular misconception about meditation in that you're supposed to clear your mind of everything. But if you've ever tried to do that, you probably realise that it's quite hard. So actually, what we do in meditation is we have a focus. And then once we've got that focus, we become aware of the thoughts around us and we just let them go. So that might be easier said than done, and sometimes those thoughts will distract us, but it's just about coming back to the focus of your meditation. And that focus can be your body, which includes your breath. The breath is always with us, so that's a really good way to meditate, is on your breath. Or it could be on an object such as a candle or maybe a flower. Or like we're going to do today, we're going to meditate on the 5 senses. So once we've got that focus, we focus particularly on that, let everything else go, and that's where our meditation starts. Being by the sea here in Felpham, I think we're drawn naturally to water. Our bodies are made up of so much water content. I think being close to water just helps to bring us peace and calm. So sometimes I find meditating on the beach is really the best place to be. And you can do this 5 senses meditation anywhere. So if you're on the beach, you can do it there. Or you could meditate just on the sound of the waves, and then that just brings you extra peace and calm. Today's meditation is really grounding, and it's a meditation on the 5 senses. So for the first sense, we're going to keep our eyes open, but then we're going to close them down and do the other 4 senses. So we're going to come to a comfortable seated position. And you don't need to be cross-legged or in the lotus position. You can just sit in a chair with your thighs parallel to the earth and your feet grounding down. Just something that's comfortable. You can sit cross-legged if you like, if that works for you, but for me, it's always whatever works. We're going to have our back straight and tall because this will help us open our chest and we can breathe much more deeply. Our head is held high. Our shoulders are away from our ears. They do have a tendency to come up, but we have them down away from our ears. And then our hands rest either in our laps, right hand in left and the thumb tips touching, or you can have them on your thighs with the index finger and the thumb tips touching. Or really, however is comfortable for you. You just need to be comfortable so that you don't have any unnecessary distractions. So our head is high, our jaw is loose, and try to put the tip of your tongue behind the back of the top front teeth. And then you'll find that the rest of the tongue will just sit gently in the lower jaw. We usually have our eyes closed, but for the first sense, we're going to have our eyes open. But to start us off, we're going to take 3 long, slow, deep breaths. So take a deep breath in, and a long, slow breath out. Deep breath in, and a long, slow breath out. Deep breath in, and a long, slow breath out. Just try to keep going with that breathing while we start to focus on our senses. So we'll start with the sense of sight. You're going to focus on 5 things that you can see. If you're in a room and you can see out of the window, it can be inside or outside. I'm outside, so it's all going to be outside. But if you're in a room and you can't see outside, then it's just things that you can see in the room. And you're going to say 5 things in your head, or you can say it out loud. So for example, I can see flowers, I can see trees, I can see birds, I can see clouds, I can see grass. Your turn now. So say either in your head or out loud 5 things that you can see. And then gently close your eyes down or cast them down at 35 degrees, whatever's comfortable for you. And we'll focus on the rest of our senses. So think about 4 things that you can hear. So for example, I can hear birds, I can hear a plane, I can hear the leaves rustling in the trees, and I can hear the sea. Your turn now. 4 things that you can hear in your room or the wider environment. Next, we focus on the sense of touch or feeling. So 3 things that you can feel. Feel the surface beneath your bottom. Feel the clothes against your skin. And maybe feel the breath as it goes over your top lip. But your turn now. Say either out loud or in your head 3 things that you can feel. Now we'll focus on the sense of smell. So 2 things that you can smell. It might be something in your room, in the wider environment, or maybe it's something like your deodorant or the laundry detergent that you've washed your clothes in. So say either in your mind or out loud 2 things that you can smell. And then we focus on the sense of taste. So this time it's 1 thing that you can taste. Maybe a coffee that you've had earlier or the toothpaste when you brushed your teeth this morning. If you can't taste anything, then just imagine your favourite taste. And just 1 thing that you can taste. Say it out loud or in your head now. And then we'll come back to focusing on our breath. So deep breath in, long slow breath out. Deep breath in, long slow breath out. And deep breath in, long slow breath out. And then start to come back to your room, wherever you're meditating. And when you're ready, just gently flutter your eyes open. There you are. That's a meditation on the 5 senses, which basically you can do anytime and anywhere, and it will give you a real sense of grounding and some peace.
Thanks, Jax. That meditation has made me so relaxed.
And it's great that she offers classes in the Felpham area.
We're staying close to the sea now as we're visiting our Age UK friends in a special beach hut.
Fantastic! Let's hear what they get up to. I really hope they have the kettle on and ready for a cuppa and perhaps some cake.
Hello, my name is Maurice and I work for Age UK, West Sussex, Brighton and Hove, and I'm having a wonderful day at the seaside.
I'm Laura. I also work for Age UK, West Sussex, Brighton and Hove.
We're a standalone charity and we cover all of West Sussex, and my role is a community agent and Laura's role?
I am a senior community developer for Arran and Chichester.
And each area in West Sussex will have one of us. We've got a fabulous website that people can look at, and to find that you need to type in Age UK, West Sussex, Brighton and Hove. My role is a community agent, and what I do is, and what we all do with Age UK, West Sussex, Brighton and Hove, is to support older people. Well, 50 plus, we say, 50 plus. And it's really about loving later life. So we will find all the beautiful things that, and wonderful activities and social groups that are around in the area. So we like to go to halls and look at the notice boards and contact services. And then when we support older people, we try and help them to find and to join in with these lovely social groups. and tell them about all these things. But it's also about other services, so not just our Age UK services, but other services within the area. And we can refer people, can't we? Or we signpost. We will work with people on the phone, we will go and visit people, but we really, really do our best to support as many older people as we can. And I do appreciate that sometimes it can be challenging. You know, sometimes people can't get out, or there are concerns about how they're going to get to places, but we try and find a solution. And I think this is one of our greatest strengths. Would you agree, Laura?
Absolutely,
that
yeah.
we always manage, mostly 99%, to find a solution for people. And all I can say is I've met some fantastic people doing this job and absolutely love the job.
So just up the road, we've got the Laburnum Centre, which is our Age UK centre in Bognor Regis. So we've got lots of things going on there. We've got exercise classes, there's a fantastic gym, art classes, lots of social activities to reduce social isolation and loneliness in older people. Also, just to carry on with what Maurice was saying, we also look for gaps in services or groups. So if we can set things up and there is a gap there, that's another thing that we can do, just so that, you know, everyone's got lots of things to do and, you know, they can have the best chances of doing stuff.
I love living by the sea. I live very close to Felpham, and it's always on my route when I go out walking at the end of a day's work, or early in the morning, or any time really at the weekends. I just love walking by the sea. I love particularly when the tide is out, walking on the sand, and you can walk in the water. It's very shallow. It's really cooling on a hot summer's day.
You know, any time of year, regardless of the weather, it just, if you have troubles or worries, just to walk by the sea, it seems to just blow all your worries away. And it changes throughout the year. You know, in sort of December time, it becomes a lot quieter, but actually that's my favourite time of year by the seaside, because it can be really calm and lovely, and it does you so much, like Maurice was saying, it just makes you feel so much better just going for a walk, seeing people. And people always talk to each other by the seaside. They always say hello to you when you're walking on the beach, so that's nice as well.
Isn't it wonderful to have spent time at the seaside?
It certainly is. The fresh air, the salt in the wind, it is breathtaking.
And Felpham is a bustling place of activity, and we're thrilled to have met so many lovely people.
Absolutely, Luna. And we hope that you've enjoyed your Felpham virtual day trip too.
Thanks for joining us. This virtual day trip to Felpham was created by Whistlestop Arts in partnership with Age UK, West Sussex, Brighton and Hove.
And the Arthur and Doreen Green Fund at Sussex Community Foundation funded it. Thank you to everyone who has supported this project.
For more resources and information about the work that we are involved in, please visit whistlestoparts.org.